Insurance, it feels like a bit of a grudge purchase. But when you think about it more deeply, it's actually a hugely emotional purchase.
Sometimes it feels that it's very transactional.
What's really necessary now is to really reframe the way we look at how insurance is not just a product construct, really it's an experience.
Tell us a bit about the proposition maybe from product to experience.
To create the best propositions and orchestrate the best marketing experiences, this again requires a mindset shift across the organization. Without the right kind of culture, the right setup in the organization, it's really difficult for things to happen.
How can we make it a really more passionate, better experience for customers?
I think technology can augment the influence of a very good advisor. Overall, advisors have to really up their game. Human intelligence can make the difference. And I think humans will be the new luxury.
Welcome to the Pulse Check podcast. Maria, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Salomon, for having me. I'm very, very excited to be here today.
Yeah, I'm also excited to talk about insurance with you today. I know you bring a lot of experience, of course, as having been in the industry for many years, but also as you've been with agencies that actually worked as trusted consultants, advisors to some of the big brands in the industry. But before we jump right into, I want to always start with an icebreaker. Maria, what makes you you?
Okay. I always think of myself as a bit of a walking culture clash in the best possible way. I was born in Hong Kong, grew up in Canada, where I learned to survive cold winters and say sorry a lot. And as a young adult, I moved to UK, London, for a number of years, working there. And managed to master the art of tea drinking and self-deprecation as survival skills. So I guess who I am today is really a mix of different cultures, different mindsets, if you like, and different ways of thinking. What really brings me joy, right, is connecting with people that go beyond labels, right, beyond culture, beyond languages, beyond, religion, whatnot. I really love, the moment that you connect with someone, truly, that is such a great feeling. The world just makes more sense when that happens. So I think this is what drew me to, study marketing and communication, learning about the art of persuading people to buy your products, your services, and to change their behaviors. And eventually that led me to, customer experience. And when I got into, insurance, I realized that, the industry has such huge potential to improve the lives of people, financially, health-wise, if only they could make it more human and accessible, right? So I think all of this is quite connected to, I guess, who I am as a person, going back to the culture clash, but it has led me to where I am today, and I guess that's what we're talking about today, right? My thoughts on insurance, how we can reimagine it, how we can better power it through technology to make it more meaningful for people to truly meet their needs.
Yeah, and of course, interesting for me, it's also the cultural mix now in Asia since 13, 14 years, Hong Kong, 10, permanent resident, but actually Swiss born and raised. So I think we have that in common. Maybe this also helps us to understand the challenges of the insurance or financial services industry. Sometimes it feels that it's very transactional. We all need an insurance, of course, we know that. We may buy a car and then feel like, okay, now we also need to buy the insurance accordingly, or we know we need to buy medical insurance. And that makes it sometimes a little bit cold and transactional, and the whole customer experience is missing. So that's why I want to learn from you. So starting with also a bit the from product to experience, right? Everyone understands, okay, what the actual final product may be and what I need. I want to have a good experience and rather do it actually in the best situation ever when I'm happy, in a happy place. I might also be more open to even additional elements towards that insurance when I buy a car again, as an example. So how can we make it a really more passionate, better experience for customers? So tell us a bit about the proposition maybe from product to experience.
So, I mean, like what you said, right? Like, you buy a car, then you realize you have to buy insurance, right? I think you're probably more excited about buying the car, right?
Yes.
Like, you wake up in the morning, you go, okay, I'm going to go and shop for a car versus, I'm going to go and buy, insurance, right? Insurance, it feels like a bit of a grudge purchase, right? Okay, I need it, so I have to buy it. But when you think about it more deeply, it's actually a hugely emotional purchase, especially in the context of like life insurance and health insurance. Because I see insurance as something that it's like an offering to improve life experiences of someone at moments that matter and for things that really matter. But, I think the way is been historically packaged and how it's really quite complicated, right? It just comes across as it's a bit boring. It's a bit of a drag to go and buy something that is actually so important to you. I think what's really necessary now is to really reframe the way we look at how insurance is as not just a product construct, right? It really is an experience, right? So customer experience is not something that's over there, okay? We have this insurance product, the policy, the product construct, and over there somehow we'll apply some customer experience magic, right, to make it more easy to buy. I don't think that's the point. The point is the category itself is experiential, right? A policy, what can you really do with a policy? You put it in your drawer, or we've put it in your, I guess, iCloud. Nowadays, everything is digital. But it shouldn't be like that. And it requires a mindset shift, right, for companies to think about how they need to develop a solution, right, for their customers. And this mindset shift is really all about going deep on understanding what the customers need or what the consumers need, what's changing in people's lives. Not only what are their needs, but, what are their fears? What drives them across the different stages of life, right? At different different generations, right? What are the perceptions of things? All of that is, it's really, really fundamental to how you then think about, not only the actual mechanics of the product, because there is a lot of engineering behind the product, right, financially. But beyond that is, how do we help solve the pain points that consumers have? Let me give you an example, what I call in sickness and in health, okay? So, typically you think of getting health insurance because, if you get sick, then you can make a claim, right? You don't have to spend so much money that, you cost an arm and a leg, to get better. But that's a pain point. But there's more to it, right? At the end of the day, the need here is how to stay healthy, right? How to have lifelong health, hopefully, so that you don't have to go see a doctor, so that you don't have to make a claim. But of course, things happen, and when it happens, you can still go and see a doctor, get things sorted. You look at the world now, right? The non-communicable diseases, it's a major cause of death. In fact, a lot of health issues people have today are avoidable, right? If people choose to lead healthier lifestyles, right? So as an insurer, it opens up a whole world of opportunity, right? How can you help people stay healthier? Now, this is actually a win-win-win situation, right? If you are healthier, you don't make as many claims, or at least the claims might not be so expensive because your illness might not be so severe because you go for checkups regularly, let's say. And then, so it's also good for the insurer, right? And it's also good for the healthcare system, right? Which is so inundated. So, this is where you think about the broader ecosystem as well, right? It's not just policy. It's about the lives of your customers. And then it's also about the broader impact of on the ecosystem.
Yeah, it's interesting that it still feels as a customer so transactional in terms of, okay, I need to have now a health insurance or a life insurance, and then I just need to talk to a sales agent. And that, of course, hinders also many to even maybe buy more because they always feel like I'm getting sold something that I don't really need. While it has to be a positive experience and then a long life journey, as we explained just now. Small example, in one of our emerging market offices, we had a big wave of flu. And I just said, hey, okay, there's been so many in our teams that had to go to the hospital, even stay 2-3 days because they had the flu. So is there anything I can do? And I came up now with the idea that the team also positively responded to. I will, or us as a company, we give them the flu shot for next flu season, right? Wouldn't that be in the interest of an insurance company as well to say, hey, why not encourage? So maybe a bit more proactive thinking, as you said, and that experience. But typically it's just about, okay, you get the policy, run with it.
Yeah, and that's very transactional, right? As you said, it's just this is the scope of the value that you can bring to your customers. But in reality, there's so much more you can do. But, you can only really kind of be creative, right? To find a more holistic solution for your customers if you understand the needs, you understand what they actually experience, what else happens when they get sick, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the example you give is very good, for the audience. I'm a believer in vaccination. I get a flu shot every year. In fact, I was quite sick in December when I was in Europe, but I got well so quickly. I couldn't believe it, and I knew if I didn't have the flu shot, it would linger for much longer.
Yeah, and actually, it's interesting. I have done it for my wife because I know my wife typically, if she has flu, it's much worse than for me. So if I might have less impact, maybe I also then do not infect her, and she, of course, has also taken the flu shot. So you may even do it for the greater good of also others. Mm. So the less it also transmits, maybe also the better. And it's just one example of many other things that, of course, could help the industry. And if there would be a more collaboration, a partnership you mentioned before, then that would be addressed.
Yeah, that's why the whole partnership piece is so important, right? Like, it's not just to then advise you, hey, it's good to get a flu shot, right? You encourage them, okay, it's education, right? As well, but it's about providing them with the means, right? If you have partners that could offer this at a discounted rate or whatever, right? This, you giving incentives, making it easier, taking the friction away for your customers to then to live healthier lives, right? Or to do things that could help prevent them getting really ill, right?
Yeah, and the education as well, right? I mean, continuous education of, hey, there's new maybe research that shows what could be healthy for you, and maybe to make certain life changes that definitely will benefit you in the long term.
Yeah. It's definitely education, engagement, and enablement. So, a lot of the insurers have different programs already, right? Like, and digital health and making it easier for them to see doctors so they don't even have to, venture out. The other is, the apps that tracks your steps. I mean, this is not new now, right? It's been over 10 years since, say AIA started, Vitality here, right? And this is just an example of how, you're thinking beyond, you have a much broader canvas, right? To play with. But how do you, it's not just then having this program there, having the program there. It's really about how you connect all those different surfaces in a cohesive way, and then making it really easy to understand and easy to use for for the customers.
Yeah, maybe brings us a bit to a second point, as overall marketing as experience, as this is where you worked in. And of course, marketing, again, for me, very distant. I'm not an expert here. But how do I get also drawn to maybe get better understanding on what actually insurance companies offer? Again, that it's less transactional, and then also during the process, during the life journey, that it's maybe a bit more timely also in that I understand when I actually need to do a certain step.
Yeah, that is so crucial. So let's just imagine, right? You have this great proposition, right? So it's not just a product, you have the whole ecosystem design, created, and, this really great offering. But it's not like if you build it, they will come, right? Yeah. It is something that the insurers have to proactively market what they offer. And that's above, marketing the brand, right? Conveying what the brand stands for, because the category is all about trust, right? But what happens is a lot of the times, or at least, traditionally, it's when you think about marketing, it's how they push a particular product, right? They have a new product launch and they're running product campaigns. Then it becomes quite transactional, right? You talk about the features of the product, and then they might have a major discount or a premium for this product, and you meet an insurance agent, and there might be a lot of discussion about, hey, this is right now we have this hot offer. Now, I'm not saying all of this is not relevant; it is relevant, but I think we need to spend more time to understand the needs of the customers. And this is not just at the moment when I have a product that I have a target for this year that I have to hit. For me, marketing in this industry has to be continuous. Marketing is about engagement. It's about engagement through educating the customers, right? Helping them to consistently and continuously have a very sharp sense of the situation awareness. Everyone goes through life changes, right? And it's about getting the customers to also reflect regularly, right, where they are, what they have, and then helping them learn more about what that means and what options they have to make sure that they are actively managing their financial well-being and their health, right? That's what marketing should be, right? And you do it in a personalized way, which means, something that's really relevant based on who you are and where you are at the right moment, using the right touch points, right? You can see it's not simple, but we do have the technology today to enable companies to do that at scale. But marketing is, for me, has to evolve to come from the angle of customer experience. So it's not just about selling a product, and that's how you move from transactional to transformational. Mm-hmm. I would go so far to say that aside from thinking about, I'm driving this transformation initiative for the organization to be more customer-centric, to be more digital, I think we should also think about how we transform consumers, their mindset. So it's
interesting.
Customer transformation or consumer transformation. And this is where I think true empowerment is. I believe it is not just an opportunity for insurers, but I think a responsibility, right, to really help people better understand their situation so that they can make more informed choices. And that's also a way to build trust so that, that's how they will stick with you. In fact, the value of the business, a lot of it comes from recurring businesses from existing customers over their lifetime. So if you're going to invest in marketing, you got to sort of think more holistically, look at the whole relationship. You can spend a lot of money acquiring new customers, and if you don't look after them well, they go. And that's where it's a very leaky bucket, right? Yeah. I think it's really important to look at how you retain customers so you can truly pursue customer lifetime value. And that's really where the money is.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe as given your experience as a change agent, so how can we look into the challenges that maybe some of these insurers have to really overcome and be less transactional and create that experience? What are maybe some of the organizational challenges you've seen, and also between organization and tech and process, and how maybe you were able to also help, or where you see that in the future we can help more these organizational changes with the right change mindset you mentioned before?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. It's not easy, right? Everything I've said so far, right, whether it's about the proposition or how you do marketing, really requires cross-disciplinary collaboration, cross-functional collaboration, not coordination, but collaboration, right? Collaboration means not just what you do together; it's about thinking together, and I think, in order to orchestrate, create the best propositions and orchestrate the best marketing experiences, this again requires a mindset shift across the organization. What I've seen as barriers are, it's easy to work in silos, right? It's just easier. It just feels faster, to go on your own. I see resistance. I see, people working in silo, or sometimes they just don't have time to really think, right? Just do. We talk about productivity, but what does productivity really mean, right? It's also about psychological safety, right? Are leaders nurturing an environment where people feel safe to really speak up and think together, right? So, and to take a good risk, right? You hear a lot about that in organizations, but I think what truly matters is what happens on the ground, right?
Yeah.
It is about the culture, and culture is not what's written in the mission statement, right? It's not all the beautiful values that you articulated on a wonderful PowerPoint. Culture is action. Culture is lived. Culture happens as my partners that I work with, Dan and Joe from Apogee, they talk about culture is really a set of interactions at moments that matter, right? Interactions and relationships through the way we conduct, right? At moments that matter, and that makes up the culture, right? Culture is how people behave when no one is looking. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think someone said that to me once, and I really love that quote because it is that, right? It's really the day-to-day interactions. So I think it's something that deserves deeper reflection, and therefore through the reflection, you can be more intentional with how you behave, right? And not just with another person, but with your team, right? And I think leaders, true leaders, recognize that, and that's how you cultivate healthy workplace cultures that enable better, collaboration to tackle wicked problems that the insurance industry is trying to solve.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, since 30 years in consulting, we know it's all about the top leadership team. So you can only change an organization if it really comes also from the top, right? Of course, empowering, enabling the whole team. The leadership from the top has to set the right tone and needs to really embrace change. And in organizations where I saw that they were reluctant to change, it was inevitably leading to failure. So if you see that maybe there is not yet enough willingness to change in an organization, most likely again coming from the top, what are some of the elements you then address, some of the principles you install?
I think firstly, like every organization they want to do the right things, right? They want to have very competitive offerings. They want to, be the best in marketing. I mean, I don't think anyone can argue against that, right? The issue is, you have a massive gap between strategy right? Aspiration and execution, right? Reality, right? So it really, without the right kind of culture, the right, set up in the organization and the processes as well, it's really difficult for things to happen. You will see there's a performance gap, essentially, right? So the numbers actually will tell the picture, right? Now, I'm not saying, if you have the, right culture, healthy culture, everything would be perfect. No, there are many systemic issues, to be honest, right? But from everything that I've seen, like, the good, bad, and ugly, if you like, teams that have healthy cultures, and I'm not just even talking about at an organization-wide, because I think what really matters is, even within the same organization, what really matters is the leaders of a specific unit or team. And where you see real leadership, you see how there's real conscious effort to drive, healthy work environment, right, and work dynamic for the team members, like true caring and everything. You really see a different level of performance. And then you also see that, typically they will have pretty good KPIs as well, right, or pretty good results, outcomes. So I think the numbers do provide a good indication, right? So I think it's really for leaders to be a lot more just aware of that. If they keep, wondering why, this is, we have the strategy, how come we are not executing well? I think one place to look at is the dynamic of how people are interacting.
Absolutely, and I think this is where you help also facilitating that conversation from top leadership to the team. Sometimes in Asia there's a bit of a culture of, okay, I just listen to the tone from the top and may not challenge too much, even though in a change environment you have to constantly challenge yourself as well as the team. And that conversation needs to happen, needs to be facilitated, and that's of course where you can come in. Maybe then more towards forward-looking, as we are almost on time. What are some of the additional trends you see in the insurance industry in the coming years?
I think consumers will be more and more empowered with technology, with AI. It's going to be easier, I think, more accessible to get the right information, right, in a very digestible way, right, for consumers to make better choices. So that's great. Like, more power to the consumers, right? And hopefully that means more of them recognize what they need to do, right, to address the gaps. What that means, though, is in Asia we have very much the distribution is very much dominated by agents or advisors. I think what that means is advisors have to elevate their game. I still think they'll be relevant, right? Human empathy, it's something that at this point in time, AI can replace.
Yes.
If anything, I think technology can augment the influence of a very good advisor. Mm-hmm. But overall, advisors have to really up their game. They have to know, what it means to be truly empathetic and professional, right? They cannot keep being stuck with like, oh, this, I just only know how to sell a product, right? Things will get more complex, so I think that human intelligence can make the difference. And I think humans will be the new luxury.
That's a very good way to say it. I'm conscious that we're on time, so very interesting. Thank you so much. Where can the people find you?
They can connect with me on LinkedIn. So Maria Sid on LinkedIn.
And you have now also your own company where you bring all the knowledge and experience you have to the industry again. What's it called?
It's called Magenta Minds.
Magenta Minds.
Yeah, it's called Magenta Minds. The color magenta symbolizes, or the color itself. It's a combination of red and blue, right? So it symbolizes, or it represents left brain, right brain, EQ, IQ. I really believe that you could have the best strategy in the world. Something that can obviously help companies develop, but that's not enough. That's just not enough, right? We have to look at how we bring the teams together, right? The people part of the equation is what's going to make the difference. So you can actually execute on it in a sustainable way.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to work with you, Marie, and Magenta Minds, of course. Very great conversation. Looking forward to continue next time. So you find us, of course, on LinkedIn, YouTube as well with the Pulse Check podcast. Please like and subscribe. And with this, thank you once again, Maria.
Right. Thank you, Salomon. It's been a pleasure.